Lieutenant Kate Morgan stood at perfect attention in General Alan Gregory's office aboard the Orbital Defense Station Alpha. Her uniform was pristine, her posture flawless. 6 years in the United Earth Defense Force had taught her the value of discipline. "At ease, Lieutenant," said General Gregory, his weathered face giving away nothing as he looked up from his tablet. Kate relaxed slightly but kept her eyes focused forward. The sudden summons had surprised her. She had been in the middle of training exercises with her squad when the order came down. "I have a special assignment for you," General Gregory said, sliding a data chip across his desk. "You're to represent humanity at a diplomatic function on Verandis." Kate blinked. "Sir, I'm a soldier, not a diplomat." The general's expression remained neutral. "You're fluent in 3 alien languages, including Varandian high speech. You've completed 4 xenocultural relations courses, and your combat record is impeccable." He tapped a finger on his desk. "In short, Lieutenant, you're qualified." Kate picked up the data chip, confusion creeping into her thoughts. "What kind of diplomatic function requires my specific skills, sir?" "A ceremonial function requiring human representation," General Gregory replied vaguely. "The Varandians specifically requested someone with your qualifications." "When do I leave?" "Tomorrow at 600. The Varandian Royal Fleet is sending a shuttle." The general stood. "This is important, Morgan. Very important. The relationship between Earth and Verandis has been delicate since the Proxima incident. Your presence at this ceremony could help smooth things over." Kate nodded. "I understand, sir." Dismissed. Back in her quarters, Kate inserted the data chip into her personal tablet. To her disappointment, the information was minimal. A brief overview of Varandian customs, most of which she already knew from her training. Nothing specific about the ceremony itself. She frowned. For a diplomatic mission, the briefing was unusually thin. She would have expected details about who would be attending, what the ceremony entailed, proper etiquette for the occasion. Kate opened a communication channel to her friend Sergeant Ben Miller in intelligence. "Hey Ben, can you pull anything on upcoming Varandian ceremonies? I've got an assignment, but the briefing is light." Ben's face appeared on screen, his eyebrows raised. "They're sending you on a diplomatic mission? No offense, Kate, but your idea of diplomacy usually involves pulse rifles." "Very funny. Can you help or not?" Ben typed something off screen. "Not much here. Wait. There's something about a royal ceremony happening tomorrow. Pretty hush-hush. Even our intelligence is limited." He looked up. "Whatever it is, it's big. The Varandian royal family will be there." Kate thanked him and ended the call. Royal ceremony, limited intelligence. The pieces weren't fitting together properly, but she had her orders. She spent the evening studying what little information she had and preparing her equipment. If she was representing humanity to the Varandian aristocracy, she needed to make an impression. The Varandians were an ancient, highly evolved species with a complex social structure. They respected strength and honor above all. Their own military was highly decorated and ceremonial. After careful consideration, Kate made her decision. She would wear her full battle armor, the HFY Defender exoskeleton. It was humanity's most advanced personal combat system, with adaptive camouflage, kinetic barriers, and non-lethal defense capabilities. The armor was also, in its way, beautiful. Sleek lines of polished titanium alloy plates over a carbon fiber frame, emblazoned with the United Earth Defense Force insignia. The next morning, Kate stood in the hangar bay, encased in her gleaming armor, helmet tucked under her arm. The Varandian shuttle was already docking, its crystalline hull shimmering under the hangar lights. General Gregory approached, eyeing her armor with an unreadable expression. "You're representing all of humanity, Lieutenant," he said quietly. Kate nodded. "I won't let Earth down, sir." As she boarded the alien shuttle, Kate couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right about this assignment. But whatever awaited her on Verandis, she would face it as she had faced every challenge in her career. Prepared for anything. The Varandian shuttle moved through space with silent grace. Kate sat alone in the passenger compartment, her armor, making the alien seat uncomfortable. The journey to Verandas took 3 hours, during which no crew members spoke to her. This struck her as odd. In her experience, aliens were usually curious about humans. As they approached the planet, Kate looked out the viewport. Verandas was beautiful from orbit, swirling blue oceans and landmasses covered in purple-hued forests. But it was the orbital structures that caught her attention. Massive crystalline platforms surrounded the planet like jewels on a necklace, connected by shimmering energy bridges. The shuttle docked at the largest platform. When the doors opened, Kate put on her helmet and stepped out, ready for anything. 3. Verandians waited for her. They stood nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent blue skin and 4-fingered hands. They wore what appeared to be ceremonial robes made of a flowing metallic fabric that changed colors with their movements. Kate's helmet translated their speech automatically. "Human representative," said the tallest Verandian with a formal bow. "I am Royal Greeter Zilvan. Welcome to the grand platform of eternal light." Kate returned the bow precisely as her training had taught her. "Lieutenant Kate Morgan of the United Earth Defense Force. I am honored by your welcome." The Verandians exchanged quick glances. Kate noticed their inner eyelids blink rapidly, a sign of surprise in their species. "Your attire is most unexpected," said Zilvan carefully. Kate stood straighter. "I represent the finest of Earth's defenders. I wear this armor to honor your ceremony." This seemed to satisfy them, though Kate noticed they continued to exchange glances as they led her from the docking bay. They walked through corridors that opened into vast chambers. The architecture was unlike anything on Earth: soaring ceilings supported by what looked like frozen waterfalls, floors that seemed to be made of solid light, and everywhere, Verandians in elaborate clothing. These were not ordinary citizens. Kate recognized the symbols of various noble houses on their attire. This was the Verandian aristocracy, gathered in one place. Several turned to stare at her as she passed, their jeweled headpieces catching the light. "There are many important guests here," Kate observed. "Indeed," replied Zilvan. "Representatives from 27 worlds have come to witness the blessed event." Kate frowned inside her helmet. 27 worlds? For a simple diplomatic ceremony? Something wasn't adding up. They entered a grand hall where hundreds of aliens mingled. Not just Verandians, but species from across the galaxy. Kate recognized Arcturians with their floating mechanical bodies, a group of reptilian Draconis ambassadors, and even a few Proximan delegates, which surprised her given the recent tensions. A human woman in elegant diplomatic dress spotted Kate and her eyes widened in alarm. She quickly excused herself from a conversation with a Verandian noble and hurried over. "Lieutenant?" she said in a strained whisper. "I'm Ambassador Diane Howard. What in heaven's name are you doing in combat armor?" Before Kate could respond, a chime sounded throughout the hall. The crowd began to move toward large doors at the far end. "We must proceed to the grand chamber," said Zilvan. "The ceremony will begin soon." Ambassador Howard looked panicked. "Lieutenant, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. You can't go in there like this." "My orders were clear, Ambassador. I'm to represent Earth at this ceremony, but not like—" Howard was interrupted as the crowd moved forward, carrying them along. Kate found herself being guided to a position near the front of the chamber. The room was enormous, with a ceiling that seemed to open directly to the stars. Crystal columns rose hundreds of feet into the air. At the center was a raised platform surrounded by what appeared to be ceremonial guards in ornate armor. A Verandian official approached Kate and bowed deeply. "Honored life savior, you will stand here," he said, indicating a marked position on the floor. "When the prince enters, you will step forward to fulfill your sacred role." Kate froze. "Prince? What prince? What sacred role?" The official looked confused. "You are Lieutenant Kate Morgan, who saved Crown Prince Zaxalath from the space pirates at the Battle of Deneb." Kate remembered the mission, a routine patrol that turned into a rescue operation. She hadn't known the Verandian she saved was royalty. "What exactly is this ceremony?" Kate asked slowly. The official's inner eyelids blinked in confusion. "Why, it is the royal wedding, of course." Kate stared at the Varandian official in shock. A royal wedding? No one told me anything about a wedding. Ambassador Howard grabbed Kate's armored arm and pulled her to a quiet corner. Lieutenant, there's been a massive communication error. You were supposed to be briefed fully by the diplomatic corps, not the military. General Gregory told me this was a ceremonial function requiring human representation, Kate said, her mind racing. It is, but not the kind you're dressed for. Howard looked at Kate's battle armor with despair. The Varandian crown prince is getting married today, and because you saved his life, their customs require you to participate in the ceremony. Kate removed her helmet, her face pale. Participate how? A new voice joined their conversation. As the prince's life savior, you are to present the royal bonding crystals to the couple. A human man in diplomatic uniform approached. Jack Winters, cultural attaché. We have about 20 minutes before the ceremony starts. Kate looked between the two diplomats. Can I change? I have my dress uniform on the shuttle. Ambassador Howard shook her head. Varandian custom forbids changing attire after entering the ceremonial space. It would be seen as rejecting the honor they've bestowed. Besides, Winters added, lowering his voice, the Varandians actually seem impressed by your armor. They value strength and protection. They see your choice as meaningful. Kate took a deep breath. So I just have to present some crystals? That's it? Not exactly, Winters said. The role of life savior is complex in Varandian culture. You'll need to recite a blessing in their language, place the crystals in the hands of both the prince and his bride, and then ceremonially stand guard during the vows. Kate's military training took over. When a mission changed, you adapted. Teach me the blessing. Now. For the next 15 minutes, Winters quickly explained the ceremony and helped Kate practice the Varandian words. The blessing was simple enough. Pledge to protect the Union as she had protected the prince's life. A musical tone rang through the chamber, silencing the crowd. Ambassador Howard gave Kate's arm a final squeeze. Good luck, Lieutenant. Just follow the ceremonial guide's lead. Kate put her helmet back on and took her position. The massive doors at the end of the hall opened, and a procession began. First came Varandian children scattering glowing petals. Then various officials and family members. Kate's suit automatically recorded everything, its tactical systems identifying the different alien species and noting potential security concerns out of habit. The crowd gasped as Crown Prince Zaxalath entered. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, his blue skin adorned with gold patterns. His ceremonial armor was similar to Kate's in purpose, but ornately decorated with gemstones and precious metals. The prince spotted Kate and inclined his head slightly in recognition. Kate returned the gesture with military precision. Next came the bride, Princess Velara from a neighboring star system. She wore flowing garments that seemed to be made of living light. The royal couple took their positions at the center of the platform. A Varandian priest in elaborate robes began speaking in ancient Varandian, which Kate's translator struggled to interpret. A ceremonial guide approached Kate and presented her with a cushion bearing 2 pulsing crystals. Life savior, it is time, he whispered. Kate stepped forward, acutely aware of thousands of eyes watching her. The heavy sound of her armor's boots echoed in the silent chamber. The crystals on the cushion seemed to glow brighter as she approached the royal couple. She stopped before them and carefully took the crystals in her armored hands. They were warm and seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. Kate began the blessing in carefully practiced Varandian. Her translator was switched off now. These words had to come from her directly. As I once preserved your life, she said to the prince, I now bless and guard your union. She placed the first crystal in the prince's 4-fingered hand, then turned to his bride. May the strength that protected him now protect you both, she continued, placing the second crystal in the princess's hand. The crystals touched and flared with brilliant light. A collective gasp rose from the audience. Kate hadn't expected that. Neither, apparently, had Winters. This wasn't in her brief instructions. The light from the crystals bathed the entire chamber in a blue-white glow. The Varandian guests made a sound like singing wind, their version of applause. Kate remained still, unsure what to do next. The prince spoke in perfect English, surprising her. "The life crystals have accepted our union, and they shine brighter in your presence, Lieutenant Morgan. This is a powerful sign." Kate's training had prepared her for combat zones, alien negotiations, and emergency scenarios, but not for impromptu religious interpretations at royal weddings. She decided honesty was the best approach. "I am honored to witness your union, Your Highness," she said simply. This seemed to please the prince. He addressed the gathering in Varandian, then in the common galactic language. "The human warrior, who saved my life now, brings blessing to our marriage. This is a day of great fortune." The ceremony continued for another hour. Kate stood at attention beside the royal couple, as tradition required the life savior to guard the newly joined pair. Her armor's cooling system worked hard under the bright lights of the chamber. When the formal ceremony ended, the guests moved to an even larger hall for the reception. Kate found herself surrounded by curious aliens wanting to speak with her. "Is this typical warrior garb for human females?" asked an Arcturian diplomat through its translation device. "This is advanced battle armor," Kate explained. "We wear it for combat and special operations." The crowd seemed impressed. To her relief, Jack Winters appeared at her side. "You're quite the hit," he said with a smile. "The Varandians think you planned this." Kate raised an eyebrow. "Planned what?" "Coming in battle armor. They see it as a profound statement about humanity's commitment to protecting the Alliance through this marriage." Kate almost laughed. "I was just following what I thought were my orders." Winters lowered his voice. "There's something you should know. That mission where you saved the prince? It wasn't a coincidence you were there." Kate frowned. "What do you mean?" "We were responding to a distress call." "Yes, but your specific team was requested by Varandian intelligence. The prince wanted to see Earth's elite soldiers in action." Winters looked around to make sure no one was listening. "And when you personally pulled him from that burning shuttle, it created a special bond in their culture. A life debt." "No one told me he was royalty," Kate said. "He was wearing common merchant clothes. He was traveling in disguise, evaluating potential allies for Verandis. Your rescue made quite an impression. In their culture, having a life debt with a skilled warrior is highly prestigious." A tall Varandian approached them. Kate recognized the king himself, the prince's father. "Human warrior," the king said through a translator. "You honor us twice, first by saving my son, now by standing guard at his union." Kate bowed respectfully. "The honor is mine, Your Majesty." The king studied her armor with interest. "Your battle dress is most impressive. Very different from the soft garments your diplomats usually wear." Ambassador Howard, who had joined them, winced slightly at this comment. "Our diplomatic corps and our military serve different functions," Kate explained carefully, "but both protect Earth's interests and honor our allies." The king made a gesture of approval. "Well said. Perhaps your approach is wiser than we realized, to show both strength and courtesy." He turned to Ambassador Howard. "Your lieutenant has given us much to consider about humans." After the king moved on, Howard let out a breath. "That was perfect, Lieutenant. You've accidentally turned this potential disaster into a diplomatic breakthrough." Kate smiled slightly. "All part of the mission, Ambassador." But Kate's combat instincts hadn't shut down. Throughout the reception, she'd noticed several Varandians who didn't quite fit with the others. They moved differently, watched the royal couple too intensely. Her armor's sensors had picked up unusual energy readings from their ceremonial staffs. Something wasn't right. Kate tapped discreetly on her wrist control, activating the armor's enhanced threat assessment mode. "Ambassador," she said quietly, "I think we may have a security situation developing." Howard looked alarmed. "What kind of situation?" Before Kate could answer, the lights in the massive hall flickered. Her armor's systems detected a power surge building somewhere nearby. "The kind with bad timing," Kate said, scanning the crowd. "Very bad timing." Kate's armor sensors continued to track the unusual energy signatures. She counted 5 Varandians moving through the crowd in what appeared to be a coordinated pattern. They were heading toward the area where the royal couple would soon perform the traditional Blessing of Ancestors ritual. "Ambassador," Kate said quietly, "I need to alert Varandian security without causing panic." Howard looked worried. "What exactly are you seeing?" "5 individuals with concealed energy weapons. My sensors can detect them through their robes." Kate's training kicked in fully now. "This is no longer a diplomatic situation. It's a security threat." Howard nodded. "The Varandian chief of security is by the east entrance. His name is Vendar." Kate made her way through the crowd, trying to appear casual despite her bulky armor. She reached the tall, stern-looking Varandian security chief. "Chief Vendar, I am Lieutenant Morgan from Earth," she said urgently. "My armor has detected 5 individuals carrying concealed energy weapons. They are converging on the Ancestor Blessing area." The security chief blinked his inner eyelids rapidly. "How certain are you?" Kate tapped her wrist controls, transferring the sensor data to the chief's device. "These readings are unmistakable. Those are weapons charging." The chief studied the data for only a moment before responding. "We have little time. The blessing begins in 2 minutes." "Can you evacuate the royal couple?" Kate asked. "Impossible. The blessing cannot be interrupted without grave insult to the ancestors. It would be seen as a terrible omen for the marriage." Vendar looked troubled. "And my guards cannot reach all 5 targets quickly enough without alerting them." Kate made a quick decision. "I'll handle the 3 on the left side. Can your people take the 2 on the right?" The chief nodded. "Yes, but be careful. If these are who I suspect, the cult of pure bloodlines, they will fight to the death." Kate's HUD displayed the location of the suspects. She moved through the crowd, her armor now shifting color to better blend with the surroundings. The ceremonial music grew louder as the royal couple took their positions for the blessing ritual. The first suspect was standing behind a column, hand moving inside his robe. Kate's targeting system confirmed an energy weapon was powering up. She moved swiftly, grabbing the Varandian's arm and applying pressure to a nerve point she knew would work on their species. The suspect collapsed silently, and Kate caught him, making it look like she was helping someone who had fainted. A security guard appeared instantly, taking the unconscious attacker away. Kate moved to the second target. This one was more alert, noticing her approach. He began to pull his weapon. Kate's armor responded automatically, her right glove deploying a small stun disc that hit the attacker's chest. He went down quietly. The third attacker saw what happened and abandoned stealth. He pulled his weapon and aimed at the royal couple. Kate's armor boosted her speed as she lunged forward, knocking several guests aside to reach him. The weapon discharged, but Kate had positioned herself in front of the beam. Her armor's shields absorbed the blast, though the impact knocked her back several steps. The crowd finally noticed. Screams and shouts filled the hall. Kate recovered quickly and tackled the attacker to the ground. He fought with surprising strength, but Kate's armor enhanced her own power. She subdued him with a precise strike to his head. Looking up, Kate saw that the Varandian security had handled the other 2 attackers. The royal couple stood frozen in place, surrounded by guards. The hall fell silent as people realized what had happened. Kate stood, her armor showing scorch marks from the energy blast but otherwise intact. Crown Prince Zaxlath approached her, his expression solemn. "Once again, you have preserved my life, Lieutenant Morgan." Kate bowed respectfully. "I was fulfilling my duty, Your Highness." The prince turned to address the stunned guests. "Today we have witnessed the true meaning of the life-savior bond. The human warrior came in battle armor not as a cultural mistake, but because she somehow knew protection would be needed." The crowd erupted in sounds of approval. Kate tried to explain that her armor was just a coincidence, but no one seemed to hear her over the celebration. Ambassador Howard appeared at her side, looking both relieved and amazed. "Don't bother correcting them," she whispered. "You've just become a legend in Varandian culture, and possibly saved our alliance in the process. After the attack, the wedding reception continued with heightened security. Kate stood near the royal couple, her armor system still scanning for threats. The Varandian security forces had taken the attackers away for questioning. Chief Vendar approached Kate with a respectful bow. The prisoners have confirmed our suspicions. They belong to the cult of pure bloodlines, a group opposed to any royal marriages outside our star system. Were there only 5 of them? Kate asked. Yes. They planned to attack during the ancestor blessing when all eyes would be on the ceremony. The security chief looked at her with newfound respect. If not for your armor's sensors, we might have failed today. How did you know to wear such protection? Kate considered telling him the truth, that it was all a misunderstanding, but Ambassador Howard caught her eye and gave a small shake of her head. Earth takes its protective duties seriously, Kate said instead. The reception shifted into a feast. Kate was seated at the high table with the royal family, an unprecedented honor for a human. She had removed her helmet but kept the rest of her armor on, partly because Varandian custom now prevented her from changing, and partly because she didn't fully trust that the threat was over. The king raised a crystal goblet. To our human ally, who brings both wisdom and strength to Verandis. The guests cheered. Kate nodded politely and sipped the offered drink. It tasted like honey and starlight. Princess Valara, the bride, leaned toward Kate. The crystals shone brighter for you, she said softly. In our culture, this is a powerful sign. The ancestors approve of your presence. I'm honored, Kate replied, unsure what else to say. My husband tells me you did not know him as royalty when you saved him, the princess continued. You risked your life for a stranger. This speaks well of your species. Before Kate could respond, a commotion arose from the entrance of the hall. A group of Varandians in simple robes pushed past the guards. They were not armed, but their presence clearly alarmed the security forces. Religious zealots, Jack Winters whispered, appearing beside Kate. They're from the Temple of Ancestral Truth, different from the assassins but still opposed to the marriage. The leader of the group pointed at the royal couple. The joining is impure. The crystals should not have accepted it, the crowd murmured. In concern, Kate noticed the king looking troubled. What's happening? She asked Winters. The bright reaction of the crystals was unusual, he explained quickly. These zealots are claiming it was some kind of trick. If people believe them, it could undermine the political alliance this marriage created. The prince stood to address the accusers, but before he could speak, the lead zealot pointed at Kate. The human warrior influenced the crystals with unknown technology. Her machine skin corrupted the sacred ritual. The crowd's murmur grew louder. Kate realized her armor was being blamed for interfering with their religious ceremony. She stood slowly, her armor gleaming under the lights. The hall fell silent. I wear this armor to honor your traditions of strength and protection, she said, clearly. It carries no technology that could affect your sacred crystals. The zealot stepped forward. Prove it. Remove your armor and touch the crystals again. Kate knew that removing her armor now would violate the wedding customs. It would also mean admitting she had worn it by mistake. The prince looked at Kate, his expression unreadable. The entire alliance between Earth and Verandis seemed to hang in the balance. Kate made her decision. She reached for one of the bonding crystals that now sat in a ceremonial holder on the table. I will touch the crystal again, but I will not. Remove my armor, she declared. If I meant to deceive, the crystal would know. As her armored hand closed around the crystal, Kate wondered if she had just made a terrible mistake. The crystal remained dark for a moment. Then suddenly, it blazed with light, brighter than before. The light spread up her arm, dancing across her armor's surface, turning the military-grade material into something that looked almost magical. The zealots fell to their knees in shock. The ancestors speak through the crystal, the king announced, his voice filled with awe. They approve of our human ally, warrior garb and all. Ambassador Howard's face showed profound relief. The immediate crisis was averted, but Kate knew this was just the beginning of a much more complicated diplomatic situation. News of the human warrior who wore battle armor to a royal wedding and then saved the couple from assassins spread quickly across the galaxy. Within days, Kate became the face of humanity to many alien species. 3 days after the wedding, Kate sat in a meeting room aboard the Varandian royal palace with Ambassador Howard, General Gregory, who had arrived by special transport, and several high-ranking Varandians. "The king wishes to bestow upon you the Order of the Crystal Guardian," said the royal advisor. "It is our highest honor, never before given to a non-Varandian." Kate looked at General Gregory, who nodded slightly. She still wasn't sure if his vague briefing had been intentional or a genuine communication error. "I am honored to accept," Kate said. Ambassador Howard beamed. "This marks a new chapter in Earth-Varandian relations." After the meeting, Kate found herself alone with General Gregory as they walked through a crystal garden. "Sir, I need to ask," Kate said. "Did you know what I was really being sent to?" The general's face remained neutral. "What do you think, Lieutenant?" "I think there are no accidents at this level of diplomacy," Kate replied carefully. General Gregory stopped walking. "The Varandians value strength above all. Our diplomats have spent years making little progress because they kept sending diplomats in formal wear with gentle words. So you sent a soldier in battle armor." "I sent our best soldier," he corrected, "and gave her just enough information to ensure she would make her own choice to wear her armor." Kate wasn't sure whether to be angry or impressed. "You risked an interstellar incident on a hunch. Sometimes the best missions are the ones where the operative doesn't know the full objective," Gregory said. "You responded naturally, which is exactly what made it work." Before Kate could respond, her armor's communication system beeped. It was a message from the Arcturian embassy, requesting Earth's warrior diplomat for an upcoming negotiation. Similar messages from 3 other species followed. "It seems you've started a trend, Lieutenant," Gregory said with a smile. "Other species are now requesting Earth's representatives come in their authentic attire." "I'm not a diplomat," Kate protested. "You are now," Ambassador Howard said, joining them in the garden. "The President herself has approved a new joint diplomatic military initiative. We're calling it the Guardian Envoy Program." Kate raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess. I'm the first Guardian Envoy." Howard nodded. "The Proximan government specifically requested you for peace talks next month. They were impressed by how you handled the situation here." Kate thought back to the Proxima incident that had caused tensions between Earth and several alien nations. A misunderstanding that had nearly led to war. "The Proximans have always respected military strength," Kate said slowly. "They might respond better to a soldier than a traditional diplomat." "Exactly," said Howard. "And you'll have a team of both military and diplomatic personnel." Later that evening, Kate stood on a balcony overlooking the crystal city of the Varandian capital. The stars shone brightly above, including the distant light of Earth's sun. Prince Zaxloth joined her, now dressed in simpler attire. "My father tells me you will be representing Earth across the galaxy now." Kate nodded. "It seems my wardrobe malfunction has become official policy." The prince made the Varandian gesture of amusement. "Sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from accidents. Your appearance at my wedding has changed how many species view humans." "How so?" Kate asked. "Before, many saw humans as clever but soft, good with words but lacking in the warrior spirit that older species respect. Now they see you as honest, practical, and strong. You wear your strength openly instead of hiding it behind diplomatic niceties." Kate looked out at the alien city. She had come here confused about her mission and worried about making mistakes. Now she was leaving as something new. Not quite a diplomat, not just a soldier. "The irony," she said, "is that I only wore the armor because I thought I was following orders." "The greater irony," replied the prince, "is that by accident, you have accomplished what years of careful diplomacy could not. Sometimes the unexpected warrior makes the best peacemaker." 6 months later, Kate stood in her quarters aboard the diplomatic vessel Earth Unity, adjusting her new uniform. It was unlike anything worn by Earth representatives before. a blend of formal diplomatic attire and elements of her battle armor. The chest and shoulders featured protective plates, while ceremonial medals and rank insignia showed her dual role as warrior and diplomat. Kate had spent these months traveling between star systems representing Earth at various diplomatic functions. The Guardian Envoy program had grown to include 20 officers selected from Earth's military forces, each paired with experienced diplomats. Lieutenant Morgan, we're approaching Verandis, her AI assistant announced. Kate smiled. She had received a special invitation to return to Verandis for the half-year celebration of the royal wedding. This time she knew exactly what to expect and what to wear. When her shuttle docked at the familiar crystal platform, Kate was greeted by a surprising sight. The Varandian welcoming party wore uniforms clearly inspired by human military designs. The formal robes remained, but now with armored elements similar to Kate's original battlesuit. Jack Winters, now the head diplomatic officer for Verandis, greeted her with a grin. "Welcome back, Guardian Envoy Morgan. Or should I say Captain Morgan? Congratulations on your promotion." Kate shook his hand. "Thank you. I see fashion has changed around here." "You started quite a trend," Winters said as they walked through the corridors. "The Varandians have created a new ceremonial guard called the Crystal Defenders. Their uniform is based on your armor from the wedding." They entered the grand hall where Kate had once stood in her battle armor, confused and out of place. Now, it was filled with representatives from over 30 worlds, many wearing variations of formal military attire. Human diplomatic officers mingled easily with aliens in a way that would have been unimaginable a year earlier. "The Arcturians have signed the Jupiter Accords," Winters told her. "They said they trusted Earth more after seeing how you handled the wedding situation. Being honest about our strength rather than hiding it impressed them." Kate noticed young Varandians watching her with admiration. Some even wore toy versions of Earth battle armor. She had become something of a cultural icon. The royal couple requested to see you privately before the main ceremony, Winters said, leading her to a smaller chamber. Inside waited Prince Zaxlath and Princess Velara. The prince had added elements to his royal attire that resembled Kate's armor, while the princess wore a delicate crystal version of military insignia. "Captain Morgan," the prince said warmly. "The life savior returns." Kate bowed. "Congratulations on your half-year anniversary, Your Highnesses." "We have news we wish to share with you first," said the princess, placing her hand on her abdomen. "We are expecting a child." "In our culture," the prince explained, "the life savior becomes a guardian to the next generation. We would be honored if you would accept the role of guardian aunt to our child." Kate was speechless. This was far beyond normal diplomatic relations. "This is not a political request," the prince added, seeing her hesitation. "This is personal. You have changed the course of our lives and the relations between our worlds." Kate found herself nodding. "I would be honored." Later, during the formal ceremony, the king announced the royal pregnancy to thunderous celebration. When he also announced Kate's new role as guardian aunt, the human diplomats looked shocked, while the Varandians cheered. Ambassador Howard whispered to Kate, "Do you realize what this means? You'll have a personal connection to the Varandian royal line. This is unprecedented." General Gregory, also present for the ceremony, looked pleased. From a misunderstanding about a wedding to becoming part of the royal family. Not bad for someone who just thought they were on a mission. As Kate stood on the ceremonial platform, she reflected on how a simple misunderstanding had changed the course of interstellar relations. Her battle armor, worn by mistake, had shown the true face of humanity to the stars, honest, strong, and ready to protect allies. The royal orchestra began playing a new composition titled The Guardian's Arrival. Kate recognized the music. It told the story of a human warrior who came to a wedding wearing battle armor, not knowing she would save a kingdom and forge a new path for her people among the stars. Kate smiled as she looked out at the gathered representatives of dozens of worlds. Sometimes the best diplomatic approach was simply being yourself, even if that meant showing up overdressed for the occasion.